Are you ready for another eclipse season? September brings the first eclipse in Pisces since 2017. Pluto returns to Capricorn for one final hooray, and Mars enters Cancer for what's going to feel like forever. Let's take a closer look at September 2024 and break down the most important transits for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer working in whole sign house system and specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrological readings. I love creating content for you guys and I appreciate any support you can show me. So please take a few seconds of your time to leave me a like, a comment, press that subscribe button and push the notification bell. I highly appreciate that. All of that helps. You can also watch another one of my videos or say thank you by buying me a coffee, a tea, croissant, all of that is appreciated. Before we dive in, if you feel lost in life, you want personal guidance, and you'd like me to look at your chart, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On my website, you can also find a subscription. There are a couple of different types of subscription. One of them includes written horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. They're personalized and uniquely tailored to your natal chart. There's also a VIP subscription, which includes a 30-minute consultation with me every month. So check out anastasiadoesastrology.com for that. On my website, you can also find a variety of planetary magic creations I make. Print creations. I have recently designed 12 zodiac notebooks. My 2025 planner is about to go on sale. Keep an eye peeled out for that. And as far as candles go, I try to make sure we get the best tools, right? Me, starting with myself always, wanting to help myself and then applying my knowledge to help you guys. So just like every single one of us has a unique natal chart, so do objects. You can capture a moment, encapsulate it in the shape of the candle or oil or anything you desire, and so that object will carry the properties of the moment. In this video, I'd like to highlight my Mars Cazimi candle. This one is perfect for the next 8 months because Mars is entering Cancer for 2 months and then it's going to go retrograde later on, return into Cancer. And Mars in Cancer is Mars in its fall. It may struggle applying itself. It has a lot of energy flows, ebbs and flows. If you were born with Mars in Cancer, that might apply to you as an individual. And so we are going to deal with this energy for a long time, and then we're going to deal with this energy in retrograde. So there might be a lot of frustration, a lot of drive, but a lack of knowledge of how to express it, how to go after our things, how to even deal with frustration. So Mars Cazimi could be the perfect candle for you. It is red, it's decorated with a garnet stone, and it is perfect for anyone trying to start projects, anyone trying to stick to goals, persevere, achieve your desires. It builds courage, discipline, and passion. And this one is Mars and Scorpio too. It's Mars and Scorpio conjunct the Sun. When the planet is conjunct the Sun, we call it Cazimi. So it's the perfect empowered moment. Perfect for anyone born with their Mars in the sign of fall and detriment, Libra, Taurus, and Cancer. If your Mars is in the 12th or 8th houses, if it's conjunct, square, or opposite Saturn, my choice for you. So thank you for listening. Additionally, if you're looking for some peace throughout the challenging times of the eclipse season, Moon in Cancer too can be a perfect companion for soothing your heart and your soul. So yes, thank you for listening. I'm filming this as Mercury's retrograde, so there might be a little bit more of like twists and turns to what we're talking about, but I'm sure we'll be, we will be fine. So in September, we have a few main areas highlighted, right? There is, at this point in the year, we have a lot of zodiac signs highlighted, from like North Node in Aries all the way to Pluto in Capricorn. So there's a lot of zodiac signs that are activated. But specifically this month, we have a lot of action in Virgo with the Sun here until September 22nd, Mercury most of the month, and new moon highlighting this house, this sign. We have a lot of action in Libra as well, with Venus being here until September 22nd, then the Sun from September 22nd until October 22nd, and Mercury after September 26th. And Cancer, because Mars will enter Cancer on September 4th, will stay for 2 months, will go into Leo for a little bit, and then will return on January 6th, retrograde. So those are the main areas we're going to talk about, specifically in horoscopes. Once again, if you're looking for a more personal look that is unique to you, and if you're looking for some guidance through the more difficult times of the year coming up, the eclipse season, the Mars retrograde, Venus retrograde right after that, pick up a subscription on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. So I'm going to break down all of the big transits. I'm going to talk about them chronologically, and then we will take a look at some of the most important ones through the lens of all 12 zodiac signs. Let me know if you're taking notes. So we start off early on, right away, September 1st, with Uranus going retrograde. Uranus will retrograde from 27 degrees 15 minutes Taurus into 23 degrees 15 minutes Taurus, and the retrograde will last from September 1st until January 30th. So it will be especially important for people with planets around 23, 27 degrees Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, and Leo. If you have those, you might notice a lot more introspection. Uranus wants to separate itself. Uranus wants to be original, innovative. And when Uranus is retrograde, we are still seeking innovation, but we're and experimentation. We want to like sort of rebel and revolutionize, but in a more internal, self-driven way. It might be the time when you are asking yourself what sets you apart, what makes you unique, trying to understand yourself better, maybe changing your mindset, changing your style, changing your look on some levels. The same day, September 1st, Pluto comes back to Capricorn. The Pluto in Capricorn, this is the final, officially last round of Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto first ingressed into Capricorn in 2008, and since then we've had a lot of changes in the Capricorn sector of our chart. We've also had a lot of changes globally, with a lot of people kind of grasping onto power and trying to tighten their control and hold on to it, right? Quite a few wars are happening in the world right now due to that. And as we slowly transition into Aquarius, we're doing a bit of that dance back and forth from Capricorn into Aquarius, Aquarius into Capricorn, Capricorn into Aquarius. And this is the final one in Capricorn. So September 1st, November 19th, last chance to review structures, boundaries, dot the I's, cross the T's in the Capricorn section of your chart. Wrap up all the transformations you have been through. Perhaps reflect, celebrate how much you've grown and how much you have accomplished. On September 2nd, we get the new moon in 11 degrees Virgo. You will feel it the most if you have planets in mutable signs, Virgo, Pisces, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Between 8 and 14 degrees of those signs. The new moon in Virgo brings attention to health, to your routines, to your diet, exercise. It is asking you, the ruler being Mercury, fresh from the retrograde in Leo, it is asking you how can you take some practical steps to allow yourself to shine your light, to allow yourself to be the best version of yourself. But first, you very much need to restructure some things potentially, right? Maybe you need to ask yourself what is missing, what can be improved, where do you need to be more strategic. There is an opposition to Saturn in 16 degrees Pisces, so I think we're still going through some tensions, through some restrictions, and having to move very slowly at this time. Around the same time, between September 2nd and 3rd, Mars also squares Neptune, which suggests low energy, tiredness, dissatisfaction, disappointment, immune system issues. So early September, take really good care of yourself. Do not take on extra work. Avoid overloading yourself. If you're feeling sort of stuck, it could be a great time for self-discovery. It could be a great time for like imaginative work, right? spiritual work, Reiki, astrology, self-discovery, self-understanding. I feel like I try to block the light on my face, but it's still coming through the blinds. It's kind of fun. So yeah, Mars square Neptune might also impact the new moon because it happens in such a close succession after the new moon. So a sense of like low energy, tiredness, and once again the new moon on September 2nd is asking what can be improved. When things don't go your way, what structures, what routines, what practices do you have that you can always lean on? September 4th, a really big shift. Mars enters Cancer, and like I said in the intro to this video, this one is going to last for a while. Mars stays in Cancer between September 4th and November 3rd, and then it returns on January 6th while retrograde and will station direct in Cancer on February 23rd and will stay in Cancer until April 18th. So altogether, almost 6 months of Mars in Cancer. If this is your natal Mars, happy Mars return. This is Mars in its fall. And it is in its fall because Mars is a fighter. Mars likes to deal with conflict. It likes to sever, cut, separate, take action, be aggressive. And Cancer is a very soft, tender, loving, caring sign, right? So if Mars is a fighter and it's asking for a fight, all that Cancer can provide oftentimes is like family and close relationships. So sometimes in Cancer we tend to suppress frustration, and then it builds up just like the full moon, and the energy explodes often in the faces of people we love the most. So that is why I really recommend picking up my Mars Cazimi candle for anyone who's trying to counteract this energy. This one is Mars in Scorpio, a lot more strategic, Mars in the sign of rulership, and it still makes a trine to the current transit of Mars in Cancer, so it could be quite helpful. And like I said, also Moon in Cancer could be a great source of support. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, but you may notice that for the next couple of months, you feel sort of maybe frustrated by things, but you don't always know how to express it. You don't always know how to fight for things. You might gravitate more towards being passive aggressive and defensive, so beware of that. Pay attention to the mood, to the energy. If the energy is up, try to accomplish as much as you can. If it's down, take a nap if your schedule allows. And the positive way to use this energy is fighting for the rights of people who don't have their voice, volunteering, donating to charity, doing social work, and going after your goals. Just don't expect things to be direct and straightforward. Cancer, just like the crab, moves sideways. It doesn't move straight to the target like Mars and Aries might. On September 7th, we get Mercury square Uranus. We've had one on August 18th with Mercury retrograde. This could be lovely for research. It could bring breakthroughs, revelations, insights, powerful conversations, maybe some idea or belief you have of yourself or something in your life cracks open and a new fresh growth comes out and you discover something about yourself. September 8th, the Sun opposes Saturn, which another sign of some kind of roadblocks, delays. Your ideals, represented by Saturn, have to contend with reality. Ideals represented by the Sun have to contend with the reality represented by Saturn. So feeling melancholic, feeling disillusioned, feeling sort of tired and low is quite likely, but as always, Saturn just wants you to manage expectations, to be grounded and realistic, and perhaps also appreciate that imperfect things are beautiful too. And it's okay if not everything goes according to plan or not everything is exactly perfect as you'd like it to be. On September 9th, Mercury enters Virgo, will stay here until September 26th. And this is lovely, right? Mercury has just finished the retrograde. We have learned a lot, we have processed a lot, and now we have the power of analytical, methodical, organized, structured Mercury in Virgo to implement the changes. So if you if you spend the retrograde asking yourself how to make your website better, how to start a website, start a YouTube channel, Mercury entering Virgo could be the time you like do things step by step and achieve a lot. It's a really lovely Mercury to have for 2.5 weeks, right? From 9th until the 26th. Mercury still moves a little bit slowly because it's still picking up speed after the retrograde. September 11th, Mercury sextiles Mars, brings fast reflexes, a desire and a love for deep debates and sort of negotiations and kind of passionate conversations. September 12th, the Sun squares Jupiter. Might feel like a bit of a double-edged sword. Mercury also will square Jupiter on September 21st, so 12th and the 21st, the Sun and Mercury square Jupiter. And this is very exuberant on many levels. It's a very optimistic energy. You're cheerful, you are passionate, you're willing to take on a lot. But of course, it can go too far, especially when there's a square. Square is a more difficult aspect. You can overpromise. You can overextend yourself, overspend, overindulge, lose face if you stick to an idea that is very wrong, potentially, without checking it, right? So the best way to handle these transits on the 12th and 21st are to be slow and steady and patient and narrow down your focus, practice moderation and discipline. September 15th, lovely, 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 my birthday. But also Venus trines Jupiter. Venus trines Jupiter, very creative, lovely for any artist, musician, social media creator, content creator. Beautiful for socializing, networking, asking for favors. Beautiful for going on dates, mending any relationship difficulties, and even making purchases or investments because you're likely to benefit from good eye for fashion and good judgment. September 17th, our first eclipse of this fall, late summer, fall season. We get the eclipse, lunar eclipse, in 25 degrees 40 minutes Pisces. So anyone with planets between 22 and 28-29 degrees mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius, this is for you especially strongly. The last eclipse we had in Pisces would have been in 2017. Before then, that would have been South Node in Pisces. Now we're going to have North Node in Pisces starting 2025. And before that, it would have been 2006, 2007 when we had North Node in Pisces. So it's been a long time. And this eclipse is a preview of what the next cycle of the nodal transits will be about, right? Like we still have North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra, but they're finishing up. They're almost out. They're going to leave in early 2025. And oftentimes when the eclipse happens within, I think it's 12 degrees, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's like 12 degrees to 16 degrees within the nodes. Even if it happens in a different sign, it is still an eclipse. So here we have a full moon, lunar eclipse in Pisces, even though the North Node is still in Aries. But it's getting really, really close. So it is a lunar eclipse. So here we are previewing the next year and a half and introducing new themes. They may not be brand new because Saturn has been in Pisces, sort of doing the work of setting the stage. But the eclipse in Pisces, it conjoins Neptune, it squares Jupiter, it's a completion of some kind of chapter that likely got started in March 2024. We had a new moon in Pisces on March 10th. And it represents a sense of opening, emptying, completing something. In Pisces, it might be a dream. Maybe you are letting go of some kind of dream. Maybe you're reaching a point of change in your vision. The square to Jupiter in Gemini, the more rational Jupiter and Gemini ruling this eclipse as well, to me feels like maybe you are reviewing what you believe, rethinking your fantasies, kind of gaining more clarity. There might also be a sense of like letting go of an escapist tendency, something that no longer serves you, so that come 2025, when we start having solar eclipses, new beginnings in Pisces, you will have space to envision new dreams, to pursue new goals, to start new projects. It's a big one. It's exciting. The second eclipse of the season is going to happen on October 2nd. That will be a solar eclipse in Libra. And of course, we'll talk about that and this one as the month progresses. September 18th brings tough decisions, delays, frustrations, slow thinking, heavy thinking, communication difficulties as Mercury opposes Saturn. It might be the time when you are just very much moving through some kind of roadblock, right? Like Mercury opposite Saturn feels like having to file a paper, like having to file a document you have previously filed but made a mistake in, or having to renegotiate something, or like having to talk about difficult topics and trying to maintain like poise and patience. And the good news is Mercury is in the sign of rulership, so it should give you the power to kind of move through it without too much, hopefully not too much difficulty. September 19th, the Sun trines Uranus brings positive change and excitement, opportunities to express yourself in a unique way, to change your style, to upgrade your look, to try something new and have a good time. On September 20th, the Sun opposes Neptune. This one feels like once again some kind of low energy. I think with the fact that the Sun first trines Uranus and then opposes Neptune, you might get excited about something but then get sick or get caught in process of taking care of someone or something and sort of have to slow down and maybe deal with some kind of discouragement, disappointment, or like challenge. September 22nd, the Sun will trine Pluto, which can bring increased intuition, passionate pursuit of goals, focus, and then it enters Libra. So the Sun will be in Libra until October 22nd. The Sun in Libra is the Sun in its fall. Here's my sunlight in a jar candle. It's lit up. It's lit up. And that could be perfect for the Libra season. I have it right here because it highlights my house of social media. And I also have a Mercury candle going because it's Mercury retrograde. But anyways, the Sun enters Libra. It is positive for relationships. It is positive for finding harmony and balance, negotiating, being a peacemaker. However, the fall of the Sun comes from the fact that Libra is all about us and other people. And so it's harder to be self-driven and sort of quick in your decisions when you're trying to weigh all sides of the story, when you're focusing on the common good. So the fall and the challenge comes from the indecision, sometimes from being a little bit passive aggressive, right? Like Libra could be like, I don't know, power behind the throne, sort of master manipulator at the very worst, right? Yeah, so watch out for being indecisive, passive aggressive, manipulative, superficial, things like that. The same day, still September 22nd, Venus will square Pluto. This can bring some power struggles in relationships, some challenges that you have to move through. And then the goddess of love enters Scorpio. So now Venus will be in the sign of her detriment, with Mars being in the sign of its fall. Venus stays in Scorpio until October 17th. She's passionate. She's going to make us, as we deal with this by transit, we're going to feel very intense. We're going to crave depth and connection, sort of raw truth and intimacy. We will likely enjoy more murder mysteries and enjoy, deep conversations and want people to share secrets with us. So it could be a very like passionate time, but the fall of Venus comes from, the detriment of Venus in Scorpio comes from Scorpio being Mars-ruled sign. So it's a sign of war, not necessarily love always. But there is also, you know, people love war sometimes. So, but basically the challenges in Scorpio are martial, and those could be trust issues, power struggles, fears sort of connected to Scorpio, right? Like strong fears of death, of loss, of disappointment, and then a tendency to step back, to not show true feelings, to sort of hide yourself a little bit. On September 24th, Mercury will trine Uranus, and then the next day on the 25th, it will oppose Neptune. So similar energy to the 20th, 19th, and 20th of September when the Sun made the same aspect. So 25th, 26th. Similar, 24th, 25th, sort of similar excitement with Uranus, new ideas. Then on the 25th, Mercury opposes Neptune. You run into miscommunication, a challenge, disappointment, maybe uncertainty. But then on the 26th of September, Mercury trines Pluto, and your intuition gives you the right answer, kind of helps you figure things out. On the 26th of September, Mercury enters Libra. We'll stay here until October 13th. We love Mercury in Libra as someone who is a Mercury in Libra individual. Mercury in Libra is very charming, very eloquent. You will benefit from this transit in terms of improving your speech, improving your negotiation skills, becoming a lot more focused on art, writing, poetry. And of course, the shadow side, the challenge might be once again indecision and maybe speech that is a bit too shallow, too focused on people pleasing. So watch out for that. Finally, September 30th, we have a couple of lovely transits. We have Mars trining Saturn. The planet of action connects with the planet of strategy and hard work and perseverance and tough lessons. And you are able to direct your energy in the constructive way, find the right outlet, commit to projects that are long-term and require a lot of dedication. You're able to get work done in the most efficient way. And you can give this, as always, about like 5 days on each side. Mars is a slower moving, 4 or 5 days is a good amount. And your relationships will benefit, your job will benefit, your passion projects will benefit from that committed, long-term oriented, loyal attitude that comes with this transit. And the Sun will conjoin Mercury, giving us another Mercury Cazimi. We had one on August 18th. Now there's one more on September 30th, now that Mercury is moving direct. Once again, feels like maybe we are reflecting on the lessons of the retrograde. We are applying what we have learned and experiencing some breakthroughs and insights around love, relationships, pleasure, and connection. And those are the main transits. Now we're going to talk about the rising signs, but I will cover only the most important transits. So if you're looking for a personal consultation with me, you can always book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, or you can pick up a horoscope subscription to see what the month ahead, every month, has in store for you, what transits are happening in your chart, and also to get personal advice on how to best navigate those transits. Starting with the beautiful Aries rising. In August, Venus was in Virgo, your 6th house, and Mercury retrograded from Virgo into Leo, from your 6th into the 5th houses. And you may have had to rethink your health, your routines, your protocols around your diet. Maybe you've implemented some better self-care strategies, figure out how to eat better, figured out what kind of, moves and workouts are best for your body. There may have also been some exes that contacted you, or some relationship challenges that you had to address. Maybe even some, like a need to revive a relationship, or a need to find fun in a relationship without worrying about the mundane of life. Find inspiration as well, looking for like fun, inspiration, pleasure, not letting the mundane take away from that. The sun was in Leo, your 5th house, which also encouraged dating, play, time spent with kids, self-expression. Mars and Jupiter came together in Gemini, your 3rd house, potentially offering breakthroughs around communication, maybe a business idea, maybe changes and new beginnings around siblings, neighbors, some type of like communication, business, skills related, interest related, new projects, right? But then Mars and Jupiter immediately squared Saturn in Pisces in your 12th house, and that suggests that you potentially had to deal with things outside of your control. You had to deal with hidden enemies or people who are kind of like stopping your progress, maybe with some self-defeating thoughts where you like realize that at times you stand in your own way and you block your own progress, right? And perhaps this offered you a chance to grow and transform. And then the full moon in Aquarius on August 19th brought change to your house of friendships, networks, hopes, and dreams. So in September, we have a few sectors of your chart quite active. The focus on Virgo continues, so there's still a lot of attention on work, health, and service. The sun is here until September 22nd, Mercury between September 9th and 26th, and the new moon is here on September 2nd. So a lot of action in your house of health, work, and healing, right? So this might suggest that you are still, especially after the retrograde is over, you may have learned a lot about yourself, about your health, about your habits, about your work schedule, but now you're getting a chance to apply the lessons you have learned. You're getting a chance to make positive changes. So the sun here will highlight everything that can be improved, everything that can be worked on, and it might offer you opportunities to declutter, to rethink your schedule, to once again like sign up for a gym, to start eating healthier, maybe get food delivered, some kind of like, I don't know, Fresh Direct or some type of food service that can help you eat better. And then the new moon on September 2nd can also offer new beginnings in terms of self-care, new beginnings in terms of work, your health, even pets. For some of you, I can see maybe getting a pet, or maybe getting a second pet, or a pet going through some kind of change. A lot of focus on love this month too, as you're partnering up and dating. Venus is in your house of relationships until September 22nd, which is a sign of big blessings and opportunities. The sun is here, Mercury is here. So a lot of like, maybe you are starting new partnerships, maybe you're getting involved with people in your life. Partnerships could be both romantic and business. You know, a partnership with a nanny is a partnership. A partnership with a contractor is involved. There might be more negotiating. But also, if you have been thinking about starting to date, if you have been waiting for the retrogrades to clear, for Venus to enter the sign that she's happy in, September might be the month, especially the first 3 weeks with Venus in your 7th house. It's easier to manifest the partner that you desire, someone beautiful and charming and attractive and affectionate and diplomatic, right? Sort of a perfect counterpart to your active Aries energy. And if you are in a relationship, Venus here might also be a sign that your relationship is going better. It's going more smoothly. Forgive the New York sound effects. What's interesting is there's also quite strong activations of your house of career and your house of home and family this month too, with Pluto returning to Capricorn on September 1st until November 19th. It will stay here, and Pluto in Capricorn is a completion of a very long chapter that got started in your life in 2008. Look back, please share with me what has happened in your professional life. How has your view of yourself and your place in the world has changed since then until now, right? It's been 16 years. So it's a really long transit, that Pluto and Capricorn transit. And so chances are you've gone through big transformations, you've faced shadows, you've dealt with power struggles and experienced challenging power dynamics. Maybe you've transformed, maybe you've learned to take charge and take control of who you are. And so Pluto coming back to Capricorn for the final 2.5 months is that sort of final, accord, the part of the movie where they show you what happened to the characters 3 years later, and it gives you a chance to put some finishing touches, to maybe reorient yourself, to get ready for the next 20 years of Pluto and Aquarius, which we've already been introduced to last year and this year. And then the fourth house, the home and family activation, comes from Mars entering Cancer on September 4th. Mars will stay in Cancer for almost 6 months, on and off. It will go into Leo, but between September 4th and April 18th, there's going to be 6 months of Mars in Cancer. And that brings a lot of focus to your house of home, family, and living situation. And there might be something you need to do there, right? There might be some action you need to take. There might be some conflicts you need to address. It is likely Mars in Cancer is in its fall. That's why I recommend my Mars Kazemi candle, which is Mars in Scorpio, Mars in rulership, empowered by the potent conjunction with the Sun, sort of the exact conjunction when it is empowered. But it could bring a sense of frustration, a sense of family or home or real estate matters not going exactly the way you want them to go. There might be brewing tensions that you want to express but don't quite know how. It is your chart ruler being in the sign of its fall, so it is suggesting that you might find yourself in a position of in a more complicated position, let's say, right? Where you have to navigate some challenging situations with elder parents or your living situation or something like that. Uranus retrogrades in Taurus, your second house, which might suggest some changes and rethinking around finances, maybe having to pay some debts, maybe having to figure out how to reach your goals, how to set yourself apart, but having to take a step back and be a bit more introspective. Uranus retrograde lasts from September 1st until January 30th, 2025. And finally, there is going to be a lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 12th house, on September 17th. This will introduce the topics we will explore in 2025, 2026, and will suggest some type of completion, change, transformation of the chapter started on March 10th with the new moon in Pisces. That involves your mental health, letting go of bad habits, being more honest with yourself, committing to better care, like getting a therapist, starting to meditate, starting to do yoga. You're maybe closing a long chapter of dealing with some people and situations that are triggering and disruptive to you. And there might also be a major transformation coming up of what you do for a living, where you are shifting and moving away from working really, really hard, right? It's very interesting because Pluto completes the transit through Capricorn, and the nodes are about to shift into Pisces and Virgo. And so the period of insane, kind of ambitious, crazy hard work is changing, and it doesn't mean you're going to stop working, but I think you're going to start prioritizing work that is more healing, that is more spiritual, that is more restful. Please share how this resonates and book a reading with me on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com, to have me look at your chart, talk about your relationship, your year to come, and so much more. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription to find out what is coming up for you. If you are the lovely Taurus rising, in August, Venus was in Virgo, your 5th house, and Mercury went retrograde from your 5th house into the 4th house. There may have been some relationship matters you had to review. For some of you, an ex or two may have come back into your life. Maybe there was a sense of a lack of inspiration, a lack of play, a lack of connection and passion that you had to ponder on and think about. And even honestly, some kind of changes around pleasure and home family, maybe literally building a playroom for your child in your house, or having to move to a place that is more joyful and can bring you more satisfaction. All of that could have been highlighted, especially with the Sun in Leo, the 4th house as well. Mars and Jupiter came together in your 2nd house in the middle of the month, but then they had to deal with Saturn and Pisces in the 11th. And this feels like maybe Mars and Jupiter together, they could represent a new project, a new investment, a new idea that you got excited about, but then you had to deal with a lack of support or restrictions from people in your network, maybe people not approving of you, or people literally, you know, telling you that there is so many like steps you have to take, so many regulations you have to deal with, or even some kind of taxes and fees you have to pay that potentially dampened your enthusiasm about this new project. Please share if this is the case. And then the full moon in Aquarius on the 19th of August brought change to your house of career, potentially highlighted and encouraged important transformations there. So in September, what's interesting is Uranus goes retrograde in your 1st house on September 1st, and it will be retrograde until January 30th, 2025. And this is especially important if your ascendant is about 29 degrees, I believe. Let me see. If your ascendant is about 27 degrees Taurus, because that might be very significant for you. But this represents a time where maybe your outward progress slows down a bit, and you have to take a step back and you have to rethink what your goals are. You have to maybe redo some of the work. You maybe are reviewing your branding, your strategy, your style, your health, right? For those of you that are maybe becoming a parent or just became a parent, there might be some changes involving parenthood as well. And just, yeah, like I think taking care of your body, tending to your health and identity before you take those future steps and go for your like next, like, I don't know, pursue your future goals basically. And why parenthood is coming up is that in September we also have a lot of focus on Virgo, and Virgo is your 5th house of romance, pleasure, and children. Also speculative business, so maybe with that Mars Jupiter conjunction in the 2nd and the Virgo sector being activated, maybe it's about buying horses and racing horses or betting on horses. Who knows? It can also be about that. But the new moon here suggests once again some kind of like new beginnings involving parenthood, pregnancy, love, new relationship, moving a relationship to the next level, a creative project. I think after the retrograde has finished, you now have more agency to have fun in life and to sort of, you know, have more pleasure. I feel like this truck has been standing next to my window for like, I don't know, I can't even see it. I think it's a big one right there. Anyways. No, there's another one. Let's hope it moves soon. So forgive my my distraction. But yes, this definitely suggests that you have done a lot of inner work and now you're ready to take action and enjoy life a little bit more. Maybe you're spending more time with kids. Maybe it's back to school season and you're just taking care of your child's education and dealing with kindergarten teachers, nannies, what have you. A lot of focus is also on your work, on your health and your pets, or your service to other people, as Venus spends most of the month in Libra. Mercury's here, the Sun enters Libra on September 22nd. And so you are also quite focused on your professional progress. you may be finding ways to bring beauty into your everyday life, right? This might also be part of pleasure. If you spend 8 hours every day in your office, why not decorate it? Why not get yourself flowers? Why not take better care of your body, right? Treat yourself better. Venus in the 6th might also improve your relationships with your colleagues, with your colleagues, and maybe even bring romance with a colleague, or encourage you to go out with people you work with a lot more, hang out with them and have a good time. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your 9th house, from September 1st until November 19th. You are getting to put in finishing touches on the Capricorn sector of your chart. Pluto has been in Capricorn on and off since 2008, and you may have dealt with a lot of important transformations, right? You may have experienced changes around where you live, around what you believe, even sort of ideals around what you eat, or how you religious changes, anything that involves like faith and ideals and belief and philosophies may have transformed quite significantly. Your education, your living situation, legal matters, all of that could have transformed. And Pluto coming back to Capricorn for one final round is that sign that there is a little bit more change you need to make, right? Like the final sort of accord. So let's say you've been trying to move to Italy, and this transit gives you that final sort of green light and go ahead. But please share with me, how have things changed in your life since 2008? How has Pluto transformed your beliefs, your education sector, your travel, and even your maybe like spiritual self? Mars enters Cancer, your 3rd house, on September 4th. Will stay here on and off until April 18th. This is good for taking action in your business, for maybe nurturing your community, fighting for your community, speaking on behalf of people around you that maybe need support, help, understanding. Mars is, however, in its fall in Cancer, so it can also suggest that there are building tensions, but you're suppressing them and trying not to express them and trying to maintain peace. There may be conflict, disagreements, tensions with siblings, with neighbors, with even like classmates or people in your immediate environment that you're dealing with. So highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle. This is Mars in Scorpio. Mars in rulership can be much better at expressing yourself, finding healthy outlets for that tense energy. Check out my website for that. And just try to be patient, try to be honest, and avoid sort of manipulating or being passive aggressive. Finally, on September 17th, we get the first eclipse of this season, the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 11th house. And this represents an introduction of new topics that will fully blossom between 2025-2026. And here we are completing a chapter, right, that started in March with the new moon in Pisces, and something is changing around your friendships. Maybe you are realizing that people who do not support you do not need to stay in your life, and you're choosing to let some relationships go. You're maybe also completing some dreams, or you're realizing which dreams are not worth pursuing, and so your desires, your hopes and wishes for the future are changing. And I wonder too if there is a question of like what kind of social engagement or relationship you need to let go of or restructure so that you have more time for new beginnings. So I will leave you with these questions. And as always, if you're looking for more guidance, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, your year ahead, or your relationship. If you are the lovely Gemini rising, in August, Venus spent most of the month in Virgo, your 4th house, and Mercury, your chart ruler, went retrograde from Virgo into Leo, your 4th and 3rd houses. And you paid a lot of attention to your comfort and security, You may have had to rethink some matters around home and family, maybe address some questions involving your parents or questions involving your living situation. There may have been a need to streamline, declutter, maybe even change your schedule in order to be able to allow more self-expression, right? Like Mercury going back into the third house, I think, brought up questions of what is your message? How can you best deliver your message? How can you express yourself? The Sun has also spent most of the month in Leo, encouraging communication, blogging, development of skills, writing, speaking, and once again, sort of shining your light and talking about things that are important to you. Finally, I guess not finally, we also had Mars conjoin Jupiter in Gemini, your first house, which would have been an introduction of a new project, a new role in the world. Mars is an action hero. Jupiter is a wise sage. So it's like topics of like, how can you take action to create, change, or empower, inspire other people. But then Mars and Jupiter both square Saturn in Pisces, your 10th house, and perhaps this new project, this desire to change your life and innovate your life had to deal with delays, restrictions involving your job, involving your duties to the other people, or even frustrating authority figures that somehow did not believe in you or blocked your growth, and things basically you had to contend with that were real life obstacles. We also had the full moon in Aquarius in your 9th house, which could have brought change to your house of education, travel, writing, publishing, and legal matters. Maybe certain things you had to address there. In September, there's still a lot of focus on your house of home and family. We get the Sun in Virgo, Mercury in Virgo, all the way until September 26th. There's a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd, which suggests new beginnings. And new beginnings in the 4th house might involve moving. They might involve a home renovation project, some kind of change in your home, buying, selling, exchanging property, right? Maybe you are upgrading your furniture, or you are connecting with family. Starting a family is also a possibility here. As well as, 4th house is also the place of comfort, security. So planting seeds that make you feel more at ease is quite likely here, and that could be quite different for different individuals. Your house of pleasure is active, and your house of romance is active all months. Venus is here until September 22nd. She's in her joy in the 5th house. So this is a great time to date. It's a great time to put yourself out there, to even hang out with your friends, go dancing, have a good time if you're someone who's not that interested in dating right now. Your relationship with your child and the life of your child might improve, and things may feel really nice. It's a beautiful, beautiful time once again to create, to make art, to make love, create babies, right? We're gonna have a new moon solar eclipse in Libra in October, so you're gearing up. I think you're like in September, you're gathering resources to birth something, and that could be a new love, that could be a new passion project, or an actual baby. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your 8th house, for one final hooray between September 1st and November 19th. Pluto has been in Capricorn on and off since 2008, transforming your finances, transforming your reliance on other people. 8th house is how we are entangled and connected with other people. And some relationships are healthy while others might drag us down. So how have your debts, your finances, your relationships with others changed since 2008? Have you disengaged from some toxic dynamic? Have you maybe started a savings account and now you feel so much more secure? Have you addressed some fears? Have you dealt with questions of death and transformations and even loneliness, and have discovered that you are so capable of taking care of yourself, or so capable of handling whatever life throws at you? Because Pluto returning to Capricorn is going to give you one final chance to put the finishing touches on your savings account, retirement plan, insurance, relationships with other people. If there is something that's been sort of lingering and hanging on, it might be the time when you finally cut ties with that person that is toxic, release a fear. And please share, how has life changed since 2008? I'd be curious to know. Mars enters Cancer, your second house of money and values, for almost 6 months. There are going to be 2 chapters from September 4th until November 3rd, and then from January 6th until April 18th, 2025. And Mars will go retrograde in Cancer, Leo and Cancer, from December 6th until February 23rd. So Mars coming into your second house implies that you are taking action to make money. But it's Mars in Cancer, so it's indirect action. It's action that is dependent on your energy levels. Your energy levels might ebb and flow a lot more because that is what Mars in Cancer is. If you want to be more consistent and productive at this time, check out my Mars Cazimi candle. This could be a perfect accompaniment because Mars Cazimi is Mars in rulership, conjunct the sun, empowered, a lot more strategic, consistent in the energy levels. It's a fixed Mars. So this could be the candle of choice for this period. So on the positive, right, like you will have the energy when the energy is up to go after your dream projects, and you're likely to do so in this like nurturing Cancerian fashion, right? You will invest energy in things you're passionate about. You will commit to them. You will build things bit by bit, but maybe be a bit indirect about it. There may be some conflicts involving money that might come up, but not direct ones, right? It's like Mars in Cancer is a bit passive aggressive, a bit like suppress, and then explode. So try to watch out for these challenging energies, and definitely consider getting my Mars in Cancer. Sorry, I keep thinking Mars in Cancer, Mars Cazimi candle. Uranus goes retrograde between September 1st and January 30th in your 12th house, which could suggest that if you've been trying to move, or you've been trying to start a healing job, or you've been working on things in therapy, this could be a bit more of like, let's take a step back, let's rethink, let's move slowly type period. Very, very introspective, very possibly insightful, but not necessarily like, let's take forward action. Which, interestingly enough, I think matches up with Mars being in Cancer and moving sideways towards the goals. On September 17th, we get the first eclipse in Pisces since 2017. This brings change to your professional sector, or at the very least, it implies that the change is coming professionally, like a really kind of big, important change. This eclipse is significant because it introduces new themes. Next year, the North Node will ingress into Pisces, South Node will go into Virgo, and you are on this precipice of professional change. And so this eclipse offers you a chance to complete the chapter started on March 10th this year with a new moon in Pisces, and it offers you a chance to free yourself. And also, I think, be realistic about what is possible and what is not. What do you want to have in your home life, in your family life, and what do you want to have in your professional life? And also, how does your current work situation support or restrict your vision, your idea of yourself, and your sort of perfect place for yourself in the world? So the lunar eclipse in Pisces could suggest letting go of a job, changing positions professionally, getting a raise, completing a project, starting a business if you've been working on starting a business. And definitely, like, I think of this as like cleansing space so you can welcome new beginnings next year. Please share how this resonates. As always, if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website. Consider getting a horoscope subscription to receive emails with your personal horoscopes from me at the start of every month. AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. If you are a beautiful Cancer rising, in August, Venus spent most of the month in Virgo, and Mercury went retrograde from Virgo to Leo, highlighting your third and second houses. And you potentially have to problem solve and deal with matters involving money, involving your skills, your knowledge, and how to best apply it, how to best maximize your knowledge to bring you the best financial result. You may have had to deal with some debts, loans, banks, credit cards, some type of, figuring things out, paying bills, consulting advisors, reaching out to people who hold the monies. The sun was also in Leo until August 22nd, encouraging financial action. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in Gemini, your 12th house, suggesting a lot of focus on escaping, foreign travel, healing work, some type of mental health breakthroughs, but also potentially, some desire to get away. But then they immediately pretty much squared Saturn in Pisces, the 9th house, which suggested that your desire for escape, your desire for spiritual satisfaction, healing work, more rest, was met by the realistic concerns of Saturn, some kind of obstacles, delays involving legal matters, visas, travel restrictions, writing. Let's say if it was about a writing project, an editor giving you a huge list of notes, things like that, things that basically slowed you down. Doesn't mean never, but they slowed you down. And then the full moon in Aquarius on August 19th could have brought change to your house of debts, loans, and taxes. Maybe encourage you to pay something off or to rethink how you deal with other people, how entangled with them you are, and maybe inspired some change there. So in September, your Virgo sector is highlighted all month. We have the sun here and Mercury here until September 26th, so basically until September 26th. And this is your third house of communication, writing, siblings, neighbors. And so you're likely to be busier. There may be more phone calls, more messages you're getting from siblings or family members, more places to go, more people to see, more ideas. We have a new moon here, which is symbolic of new beginnings on September 2nd. And I still think it's connected to that retrograde, right, that we just finished, where you have thought about living your life in a different way, applying your knowledge, changing your everyday, right? You're looking to sort of have a better everyday life. And so the new moon might encourage you to buy some tech that makes your life easier, right? Buy kitchen appliance that makes it easier to cook breakfasts, or let go of need to drive places. Maybe you start working from home, or start sort of a communication or writing, a blogging project, start a business, sort of take ownership of your skills. There might also be changes in the lives of siblings and in the lives of neighbors, like a sibling is going through some kind of important milestone type moment. And the focus on family is also quite highlighted by the fact that Venus is in Libra until September 22nd, and the Sun and Mercury are also in Libra later on. So there's a lot of attention on your house of home, family, and living situation. And important changes are coming. We're getting the solar eclipse in Libra on October 2nd. It's a south node eclipse, so it's a new beginning that comes from an ending. So for some of you, I can very much see a need to change some kind of family dynamic, a need to move, a need to separate from your family, right? Some type of maybe it's as simple as getting your own room in the house, right? But for others, it can literally be like a chapter is closing around where you live and where you see yourself. Pluto comes back to Capricorn, your 7th house. This is a big deal, right? Pluto has been in Capricorn on and off since 2008. We're almost done. This is the final 2 months between the 1st of September and 19th of November. How have your relationships changed since 2008? Please share. It would be, I think, exciting for any other Cancer rising to read about that, but Pluto has taught you a lot of lessons. It could have brought very intense, passionate life and death type relationships into your life. It could have highlighted vulnerabilities, fears you had in relationships. It could have encouraged more independence, more passion, honesty, more growth in relationships. A partner could have been through a lot of change with this transit, and now you are in the final stretch. You're in the home stretch, right? But this final period could be very much the time when you realize that you need to sever the ties. If, let's say, the relationship was like barely hanging on, and you've been trying, you've been sort of, I don't know, you've attached it to like life support, and now you feel like maybe it's time to let it go. Or maybe you celebrate how far your relationship has come, how much you've grown together, and sort of celebrate your relationship in a more happy way without letting it go. Mars also enters Cancer, your first house. This is a big deal. Mars will be in Cancer on and off from September 4th until April 18th. It will go retrograde from Leo into Cancer in December, but it is highlighting your house of identity, your house of health, your house of problem solving. And it is, and not quite problem solving, but I guess like maybe problem solving around your independence. And I think Mars in Cancer will bring focus to you, your desires, your independence, your courage. And it will suggest a lot more things that you're handling, but also I think opportunities to take personal action, to start exercising, to take better care of your health, to start personal projects, and maybe separate yourself from some, once again, some kind of separation, some kind of change, right? The challenge with Mars in Cancer is that it's Mars in its fall. And so the energy of Mars in Cancer is not consistent. You may notice that your sort of energy levels ebb and flow. There might be more frustrations, but because Cancer, Mars doesn't like open battles, there might be a tendency to be passive aggressive or suppress the feelings until they burst out in the open, just like fire out of the mouth of the dragon, and burn people around you. So highly recommend staying patient. Make sure to exercise, go for a swim, express the energy somehow, and pick up my Mars Kazemi candle. This one captures Mars in Scorpio, Mars in the fixed sign of rulership, very strategic, very consistent energetically, and good at being diligent, brave, and disciplined. So this could be a perfect accompaniment for the next, like, I don't know, Mars is in Cancer 6 months, but it's 8 months, including the period of Mars in Leo too, and the retrograde. So you might, it definitely is the time to get one of my Mars candles. Uranus is also retrograding in Taurus, starting September 1st and until January 30th. And this could be the time you are reviewing your friendships, but you're being maybe a little bit more introspective. You're also asking what sets you apart from other people. You're wondering how to be, maybe like what kind of impact you want to have on the world. But before you take exact action and make the changes happen, you have to sort of sit with it for the next few months. The retrograde is, I don't know if I said it already, from September 1st until January 30th. And then on September 17th, we get the lunar eclipse in Pisces. This is the first eclipse in Pisces since 2017, and the first North Node eclipse in Pisces since 2007, I want to say, maybe 8. But a long time, right? And it will introduce the themes we will deal with and get to know intimately in 2025, 2026. This is an eclipse, an ending, a change in your 9th house of travel, education, writing, publishing, and law, and beliefs and philosophies, right? And so here you are examining what guides you, what motivates you, what inspires you, and perhaps letting go of some of those. The ruler is Jupiter in Gemini. It's in your 12th house. So once again, there is that drive to escape, to change, to become a healer, to transform yourself. So the lunar eclipse in Pisces in the 9th house might highlight the need to finish a course of study, to relocate, to complete some kind of legal matter in order to free yourself for a next chapter of your life, for new beginnings that will once again involve traveling and writing and publishing, and maybe even impacting the minds and the hearts of other people. If you're looking for a personal guidance, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your chart, your year to come, your relationship, and more, and pick up my horoscope subscription to get monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. If you are the passionate, beautiful Leo rising, in August, Venus spent the month in Virgo, and Mercury went retrograde from Virgo into Leo, your second house and first house. And so there could have been a need to rethink what's important to you, a need to move your finances, maybe pay off some debts, maybe deal with some kind of sudden spendings. You could have asked how you can spend money in order to be the better version of yourself, maybe dealt with some kind of like personal reinvention and like changed your style, changed your skincare, changed your makeup routine, and so potentially some of the resources could have gone in that direction. The sun was in Leo until August 22nd, encouraging you to focus on your style, image, identity, and sort of like reinvent yourself, right? Shine more, be more visible. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in Gemini, encouraging new beginnings in your house of friendships, social media, networks, hopes, and dreams. But they squared Saturn in Pisces in the 8th. And so maybe those dreams, those new beginnings, the excitement of possibilities and fresh energy has been blocked or restricted, somehow delayed by Saturn in the 8th, which is the debts you have, the duties you have to other people, the fears you have as well, or maybe some kind of surprising developments that slowed you down. Didn't stop you, hopefully. Do not feel like it stops you, but slowed you down for sure. And then we had a relationship focus as well with the full moon in Aquarius, your 7th house, which could have highlighted your contracts, your agreements with other people, your significant other's life, and brought change to that sector of your chart, of your life. In September, there's still a lot of attention on Virgo, pretty much until September 26th. The sun is here and Mercury are here. And this highlights your second house of money and values. There's also a new moon here on September 2nd. So some kind of new beginnings around how you spend money, what you spend money on, what you value, and how you deal with finances. So the new moon here might suggest that you're asking for a raise, that you're switching jobs, that you're starting a business, starting a side hustle. It is a good time to start a business because there's also Venus in Libra until September 22nd. And on the 15th, she's going to trine Jupiter in your 11th house. So September 15th is not just amazing because it's my birthday, let's be honest. But it's also pretty great because of that Venus-Jupiter trine. How nice it is to have like something exciting happening on your birthday. There's also Mars in the sign of its fall ruling my year, but fingers crossed that just will inspire me to be more proactive. But enough about me. So a lot of focus is on Libra all month as well, and that is a great time to own your skills and start writing, start blogging, start expressing yourself, starting a business, a partnership with a sibling or a neighbor, new ideas, right? Venus is here, is just like so fertile, so abundant, so many creative ideas. You may be producing more content, you're maybe writing, even if you're doing like writing for work, more eloquently, more charming. Meeting someone, like meeting a romantic interest in your local coffee shop, in your neighborhood, meeting someone through a sibling or a neighbor is also very likely here. Pluto comes back to Capricorn, your 6th house, on September 1st, and until November 19th, you will get to put finishing touches on the matters involving your health, your work situation, your pets. There might be some changes coming up involving pets, and maybe finish problem solving if there is a problem that you've been solving. Problem solving. So this is a completion of a very long transit. Pluto first ingressed into Capricorn in 2008. So definitely reflect back and think on how has your life changed, how has your health changed, how has your work situation changed. There could have been some sort of death and rebirth here in terms of transformation of how you do your life, how you deal with problems, right? But definitely work, health, pets, service to others. And please share down below if you are noticing some kind of important reflections. As Pluto comes back to the 6th, Mars ingresses into Cancer, your 12th house, on September 4th, and it will stay on and off until April 18th, 2025, going retrograde in December and into February. So the end of this year is looking very interesting. I'm going to say that. Let's not label it specific. But Mars entering Cancer, the 12th house, could suggest that you are retreating. You're maybe quite literally getting away. It could suggest that you're working on something in solitude, that you're preferring to be more solitary. You're maybe starting some kind of project that is behind the closed doors, behind the scenes. It might suggest on the negative a little bit more suppressed anger and frustration. Mars is in its fall in Cancer and it doesn't like fighting, so it lets the tension build up until it explodes as the moon reaches its fullness and the tension, the anger can no longer be controlled. That is why I highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle for this transit. It's going to be a long one and you will need this because Mars Kazemi is Mars in rulership conjunct the Sun. It's empowered, it's brave, it's focused, strategic, and it's a lot more consistent in terms of energy, and it's much better at like knowing when to speak and how to deal with conflict. So definitely pick one up on my website. I still have a few left, but beware of, you know, building tension. There might be some sleep issues coming with this transit, so in order to manage it, I'd recommend that you go for long walks or go swimming or do something active with people you love, but don't go down the path of like passive aggression and like, I don't know, suppressing and manipulating and sort of more shadow sides. Uranus stations retrograde on September 1st and until January 30th, 2025. There will be a chance to figure out some professional matters, but maybe a little bit more internal questions versus external progress, right? When Uranus is direct, we like make progress happen, we take action, we separate ourselves, we are revolutionary and change makers, versus when it's retrograde, it's kind of subdued, it's a bit more quiet, you're asking yourself, what is it that I truly want? And then taking action when the planet goes direct. So maybe professionally, deep questions, but not quite yet big changes. The big transit that we are excited about happens on September 17th with the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 8th house. This is big because the last eclipse we had in Pisces was 2017. And the last eclipse on the North Node, which is what this one is, the last exact eclipse in Pisces like that would have been in 2007, maybe 2008. I'd have to check. But 2007 is when we had North Node in Pisces last time. So we're coming back on that cycle, right? And we are, it's a lunar eclipse, so we are completing a chapter. Take a look back at March 2024 when we had a new moon in Pisces. And because it's a lunar eclipse, but the North Node is about to move here, you are encouraged to examine your dynamics with other people. You are encouraged to pay off debts. You are encouraged to come up with better financial strategy. Maybe clear your resources so that in the future you can start new partnerships, new agreements, and like so that you can also have more freedom in order to pursue things that you want to pursue. So this eclipse is very much like take control of what you have, take control of what you share, and figure out better protocols and better strategies around that. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your relationship, your year to come, or your natal chart to discuss your strengths, weaknesses, and more. And if you'd like to know what all of the transits and what is happening for you personally, and receive monthly horoscopes at the start of every month, become my horoscope subscriber on my website. There are a few options, and one might be perfect for you. If you are the beautiful Virgo rising, in August, Venus spent the month in your first house, encouraging you to focus on your look, your style, your beauty, and Mercury went retrograde from Virgo into Leo, your first house and 12th houses. So there could have been a sense of confusion around identity, around your self-care protocols, your style, your makeup, even a sense of trying to figure out what kind of patterns and habits you have that are self-destructive. You maybe had to address some questions of health. If you got sick, for example, or you dealt with some questions around mental health and how those two are connected, right? I think we're very much like with the first and 12th house activations. It's like what kind of invisible habits you have that sabotage you, and maybe how your physical health is affected by those habits or the patterns that are happening behind the scenes in your mind. The sun was in Leo, the 12th house. It could have also encouraged you to retreat, recharge, step back, travel, get away somehow, focus on spirituality. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in Gemini, your 10th house, inspiring new beginnings professionally, but then they squared Saturn in the 7th, and maybe you dealt with some restrictions, delays involving partnerships, involving your existing relationships. Let's say you want to start a job that takes you to Paris, but your partner doesn't want to move, and you had to deal with that. Saturn is always a sign of a reality check. It's not a sign that these dreams and new beginnings will not happen, but first you have to be kind of practical, strategic, and maybe move through some obstacles before you get to where you're trying to go. And then the full moon in Aquarius, your 6th house, brought change and completion of a work project, changes around health, maybe once again sort of better protocols, routines around health, wellness, exercise, diet, and even your pets. So in September, there's still a lot of focus on you, and you're actually going through a rebirth with the new moon in Virgo on September 2nd. The new moon does oppose that Saturn in the 7th house, so there's still an energy of the push and pull between me and who I want to be and where I'm trying to go, and relationships and partnerships, and also just duties and obligations you have to other people, right? At times, it could even be about beliefs you have surrounding relationships. Maybe it's not even your partner who's asking you to sacrifice something, but you feel like you have to. So a lot of opportunity to sort of reinvent and maybe get more comfortable with who you are, and like take that center stage, take the spotlight, be unapologetically yourself, and roar. Mercury is still in Leo until September 9th, so you have that early in the month, you have that ability to shine and speak loudly and proudly. There's also a lot of focus on your money and values. Venus is in Libra until September 22nd, and then the Sun and Mercury right after that, and you are exploring new ideas. Venus in the 2nd house of finances will encourage you to make money through creative pursuits. So also sales, also beauty, also fashion. So either you're making money through those things or you're spending money on those things. Venus in Libra in the 2nd will bless you with a really good eye for bargain, for an investment. So it could be like a great time to buy a piece of art. And it is very likely that this piece of art will bring you some profit in the future. But yeah, like it's a good time financially. There might also be more gifts, more maybe a bonus, some kind of like return on investment, some type of supportive financial, and even maybe a compliment, recognition, something like that. Uranus goes retrograde in Taurus, your ninth house, between September 1st and January 30th, 2025, implying a need to maybe review something in writing. Like if you are a writer, if you are a lawyer, if you are an author, right? Uranus retrograde might be the time when you are almost kind of like searching, researching, trying to figure out what your next pursuit might be, what your next big thing might be. So being a bit more introspective. There might be a legal matter, sort of a visa, a document that you need to refile, reapply. Questions around education, travel might be important to you. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your fifth house, for one final hooray between September 1st and November 19th. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. This is it. This is the last 2.5 months, and we are never going to see Pluto in Capricorn in our lifetimes. It's not going to come back. Our like great-grandchildren, great-great-great-grand, it's going to be the next 200 years basically. So I don't know, it's probably not even like great-grandchildren. It's like great-great-great-great-great-great times 10 children. My math is not computing right now, so, but a long time. So Pluto comes back around and you are getting to put some finishing touches on the fifth house of your chart. Some final transformations around parenthood, around love, a chance to empower yourself, a chance to transform something, transform a fear, have an honest conversation, release some type of fear, dependency, bad habit. Fifth house deals with pleasure, and sometimes certain things that are pleasant to us are destructive for our body. And also do some reflection, right? How has your romantic life, how has your parental life, like how has your relationship with children, relationship with pleasure, how has your self-expression grew and changed? Have you taken some major risks that you can now applaud yourself for? Please share down below. Mars also enters Cancer on September 4th. Mars will stay in Cancer forever, or what feels like forever, until April 18th. It will briefly go into Leo between November 3rd and January 6th, but it's going to be in Cancer for a really, really long time. And Cancer is your 11th house, so there is a chance of more action involving community. Mars in Cancer is like mama bear. You will potentially be very aggressive and protective, not just over your child, but like people around you. Let's say you are a social worker or you're a teacher, and this is just like a lot of action in the house of like community. It's also action involving friends and you being a leader and you sort of being proactive. Mars in Cancer, however, is in its fall. So that is less exciting because Mars in its fall implies energy ebbs and flows. It implies indirect approach to our goals. Sometimes we feel driven and we go for it. Other times we go in the other direction. It's very sort of, you know, more like a crab on the beach going sideways. There's also a certain element of being passive aggressive and stifling frustration until it bursts out into the open. I highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle. This one is Mars in Scorpio, Mars in rulership, much more empowered, still a water sign, so it complements the Mars in Cancer transit, but it is fixed, so it has stable energy, it is brave, it is strategic, passionate, and powerful. So for the next 8 months from September until April, this is the choice I will be highlighting again and again. So definitely check it out. Finally, on September 17th, we get a lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 7th house. This is big. It's an introduction of a new themes that will unravel more and we will get to know them closely in 2025 and 2026. And it's a big deal because the last time we had North Node in Pisces would have been in 2006, 2007. So take a look back. And then we had more eclipses in Pisces, but those were South Node eclipses in 2016, 2017. But this is a big change in your relationship sector. And since it's a lunar eclipse, it could imply completion, transformation, dissolution of something, or maybe commitment, like something is ending so the new thing can begin. But it's going to be big. It is going to take the next sort of couple of years to fully bloom and show up. And please share, if you remember what was happening in your relationships, partnerships, contractual agreements back in 2006, 2007, because that is the cycle we're returning into. And if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. You can also pick up a horoscope subscription to get monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month. To the lovely Libra risings, let's look at August real fast. In August, there was a lot of action happening behind the scenes. Venus was in Virgo, your 12th house. Mercury retrograded from Virgo into Leo, your 12th into 11th. And you may have been a bit more private, a bit more introspective. Maybe you dealt with some inner fears and anxieties. A lot of times 12th house transits highlight all of the self-defeating patterns we have and encourage change. And whether we make the change is up to us. But if we don't make the change, next year this energy will be back around reminding us yet again. So, like any sort of self-defeating habits, any sabotaging patterns could have been revealed. The retrograde in the 11th house may have also encouraged you to think about your dreams, about your desires, about your friendships and networks, and maybe even encourage some change there. A friend could have been going through a bit of a difficult time, or an old friend could have also reached out and knocked on your door. Mars and Jupiter conjoin in Gemini, your 9th house, and then squared Saturn in Pisces, the 6th. So some type of travel plans, some type of education project, legal matter that you have been excited about and maybe working on, even publishing, some type of like writing project, publishing project may have encountered delays involving health. You want to travel, a child gets sick, you can't quite go. Involving work, just like a huge workload that restricted your ability to pursue new projects. And maybe some logistical issues that you needed to address. And the full moon in Aquarius on August 19th highlighted your house of romance, pleasure, and children, and inspired some change there. Please share your reflections of August. I hope it was a relatively okay month. I wouldn't hope that it was a good one just because it was pretty messy astrologically, but maybe you had the best month. If you did, please tell me. And what did you do to keep calm? I would really love to know. In September, you are still a bit insular and private with the Sun in Virgo and Mercury in Virgo until September 26th. This is your 12th house of mental health, spirituality, healing work. We get a new moon here on September 2nd. So you're either committing to take better care of yourself, starting therapy, meditating, doing yoga, implementing positive change that creates more peace in your life, or you are working on spiritual projects. You are maybe even embracing a role of a healer and doing work that helps others. At the same time, Venus is in Libra until September 22nd, and the Sun enters Libra, and so does Mercury. So as you're dealing with some things behind the scenes, you're also likely to get more compliments, to be more visible, to maybe even want to change your style and be quite like self-body health conscious. With these transits, the Sun in your first house from September 22nd until October 22nd is like the time of personal reinvention. And of course, we have the solar eclipse in Libra coming up on the South Node, which is personal reinvention that has that spiritual touch to it. So you are changing who you are, but maybe you're leaning into becoming a healer, becoming a Reiki instructor, an astrologer, a yoga teacher. And please share if that is you, and if that is what you think has been happening. Have you noticed the South Node in Libra highlighting your spiritual side and encouraging you to find support in something other than tangible and things you can feel, like taking a pill or something, right? Uranus retrogrades in Taurus, your 8th house, from September 1st until January 30th. And there may be some agreements, some sort of financial decisions you need to rethink. Any sort of joint partnerships with other people may slow down. Maybe you are renegotiating your agreements with your partner, your finances that you share with your partner, etc. And maybe also just kind of questioning, you know, what kind of partnerships are worth pursuing versus which ones are not. Two really big transits that are going to hit you quite strongly occur as Pluto returns to Capricorn and Mars enters Cancer. So first, let's talk about Pluto. Pluto returns to Capricorn for the final 2.5 month period from September 1st until November 19th. This is your 4th house. Anything you still haven't finished. So Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, on and off. And this could have brought major transformations around home, where you live, moving a bunch of times, family, changing power dynamics in the family, children being born, grandparents passing away, and comfort and security. Learning to be your own source of comfort and security. Empowerment, right? Like Pluto creates tension and drama, but it also does so that you become more empowered. And so as we get this final round of Pluto in Capricorn, it is your chance to finish any unfinished business you have. And please share with me, how has this transit been since 2008? Pluto will not be in Capricorn for the next 200 something odd years, so we're not going to see it again in our lifetime. So it's a really, really big deal. And Mars also enters Cancer, your 10th house, on September 4th. Mars will stay in Cancer on and off until April 18th because it's about to slow down and go retrograde. It will dip into Leo between November 3rd and January 6th, but mostly it's going to be hanging out and retrograding in Cancer. And so this is Mars in your 10th house, and it's a sign of a big professional, action-y energy. You are very much taking professional action, starting new projects, starting a business. But it is Mars in its fall, and it is Mars that is about to go retrograde. So with that, of course, come challenges, right? With Mars being in its fall, be ready for your energy to not be as consistent as you're used to, unless you're born with Mars in Cancer, which is, then you are familiar with it. But be ready to deal with energetic ups and downs. You may feel sort of focused and determined one day and then tired another day, so try to listen to that energy. There may be a bit more friction professionally, but because Mars in Cancer doesn't like fighting, it tends to suppress the energy and may act passive-aggressive. You may notice that you are not feeling as comfortable expressing anger or frustration, which is already difficult to do in a professional context, right? But might be exacerbated by Mars in Cancer. Maybe you are actually trying to figure out what is worth your time, what is worth your passion, what is worth your energy. And so the retrograde period is suggestive of like needing to reorient yourself and change something in your professional life. Highly recommend my Mars Kazemi candle. This is Mars in rulership conjunct the Sun, strong Mars in Scorpio, very consistent, very diligent, brave, and focused. So this could be the candle to light for the next 8 months. And I still have a few of those. Even Exalted Mars, any Mars candle I have could be great for this. On September 17th, we get the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 6th house. And this is an introduction of the themes that will unravel in 2025 and 2026 as the North Node shifts into Pisces. So it's a big deal, and it brings attention to your house of work, health, and service. Questions like, how do you take care of yourself? Questions like, what are your exercise routines? How much work you're doing? And what type of work is worth pursuing will all be brought up to your attention. Take a look back at March 2024 when we had a new moon in Pisces, and be ready to wrap up some projects, to maybe address some health issues, especially if it's something that's been ongoing and you've been like dealing with for a while. This eclipse might represent, oh, that's crazy, I have a doctor's appointment on September 17th with a doctor that's supposedly really, really good and was kind of hard to get in with. So, and I'm a Libra rising. So some type of like breakthrough, an important development around work, health, and service, and likely a development that has that energy of like completing, closing, cleansing, ending, so that you're opening space for new beginnings. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, your year to come, or your relationship. And you can also pick up a horoscope subscription on there to get personalized horoscopes at the start of every month. Now to the beautiful Scorpio rising. In August, Venus spent the month in your 11th house and Mercury retrograded from your 11th into 10th houses, suggesting a lot of focus on your friendships, networks, and your career. You may have needed to comb through your connections to help move your career forward. You maybe dealt with separate matters involving friends and separate professional sort of change and reorientation. And you may have asked some important questions in terms of what do you dream about and how does your current career reflect what you want to be doing, right? So maybe some important realization in that area have come up. The Sun in Leo in the 10th house could have offered opportunities to be more visible and seen more in the social context and professional context. We also had Mars and Jupiter conjoin in your 8th house and square Saturn in the 5th. And you may have had to deal with some restrictions involving parenthood, romance, pleasure, affecting your desire to work with others, your desire to start a joint bank account or start some kind of financial partnership, and had to navigate those tensions between your values and the values of other people, your finances, the finances of other people. And maybe some kind of like, Saturn in the 5th, your responsibility to your child or your partner's responsibility to their nephew affecting your plans with your partner or something along those lines. And the full moon in Aquarius, your 4th house, also again highlighted the questions of home and family and suggested change, transformation, completion of the chapter involving home renovation, a move, a family dynamic, going through a change, and maybe even a sense of comfort and security transforming. In September, there's still a lot of focus on Virgo. The Sun is here until September 22nd, Mercury until September 26th, and we also have a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd. So you are likely to be quite social in September. More places to go, more people to see, posting more content on social media if that is what you do, and being more involved with the community, whether you're volunteering or you're going to just more parties or something like that is likely. And of course, the new moon could represent forming a new friendship, making a project official, going, maybe even taking a trip with your friends, or starting to follow new dream, right? 11th house is very much what impact you have on your community. So with the new moon here, there might be a new dream, new interest that involves social media or involves a large group of people, starting a nonprofit organization. So new dreams involving other people are quite likely here. With Venus in Libra and the Sun entering Libra, there's also a lot of attention on your 12th house of spirituality, mental health, and retreating. And you may enjoy getting away this month, maybe going on a romantic trip with your significant other. You may also notice wanting to spend more time in solitude. Maybe you're like, it's still Libra, so maybe you're in solitude, but your significant other is somewhere close by, or you're texting with them. a lot more focus on self-defeating tendencies. Pay attention. 12th house transits are very revealing for helping us understand the patterns we have that are not serving us. So pay attention to these little sort of rings you are receiving at this time in order to make improvements to your overall well-being. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your third house, for the final round. Since 2008, Pluto has been in Capricorn on and off. And now between September 1st and November 19th, we will get to put the finishing touches. And so here it's about your relationship with siblings, your relationship with family that doesn't involve your parents or your children, but family that is more extended family. That involves your communication, your schedule, your skills in business. How have these topics changed since 2008? Maybe you've learned to speak up more assertively. Maybe you've written a book that you've always wanted to write. Maybe you've gone through some kind of death and rebirth and change in your dynamics with siblings and neighbors. And what finishing sort of touches do you still need to put on that? What kind of conversations and family dynamics still need to be addressed? And also take some time to celebrate the progress you have made and write down below what you think it has been about or what it will be about. On September 4th, Mars enters Cancer, your 9th house. Mars will be in Cancer on and off until April 18th, so 8 months. It will go retrograde. It's also going to dip into Leo between November 3rd and January 6th, so it's not all Cancer, but it is in Cancer for a while. And Mars in the 9th house implies that your focus goes to learning, to travel, and growing somehow. It's in Cancer, so it's family oriented. It's focused on helping people that are weak and vulnerable. So you're maybe becoming more interested in learning about taking care of the elderly, you know, some kind of special like nursing, helping the elderly people. You're maybe learning more about parenthood. You're maybe traveling to see family or moving somewhere so that you're closer to family. Dealing with some kind of legal matters is likely. Mars in Cancer, Mars is your chart ruler, right? So this is very important. And the challenge of Mars in Cancer is that it's in its fall here. And so just like the moon, it ebbs and flows energetically. You may notice that there are days when you are brave and energetic and full of drive, and then others when all you want to do is take a nap. And the advice is, of course, try to go with that energy, try to follow your, energetic levels, and watch out for suppressing anger, because that is something that we're all going to have to deal with for the next 8 months, is frustration that we don't want to express. Mars in Cancer doesn't like to fight. It tries to avoid fighting, but of course it's not fully possible. So then in the end, you end up blowing up, right? Highly recommend my Exalted Mars and Mars Cazimi candles, because this one, Mars Cazimi, captures Mars in Scorpio, your ascendant sign. It is fixed Mars. It is empowered by the fact that it's exactly conjunct the sun, and it is beautiful for sort of, the fact that it's fixed. It has consistent energy levels. It has more staying power. It has that courage, determination, discipline, and passion that is necessary. And it's much better at dealing with conflict too. So check out my website, Anastasia Does Astrology, for that. Uranus begins its retrograde in Taurus on September 1st. This one is going to last until January 30th, 2025. And you may notice that there are some changes happening in your partner's life, in your relationship. Maybe there's a bit of a need to rethink some things romantically. For some of you, there might be exes coming back into your life. For others, it might be the time of just being more introspective and making sort of adjustments to how you deal with other people, rethinking some contracts and agreements. And on September 17th, we're going to get a lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 5th house. Completion of a chapter started in March with a new moon in Pisces, and a preview of a new set of eclipses. We haven't had North Node in Pisces since 2006, 2007, and the last time we had a South Node eclipse in Pisces would have been in 2017. So it's a major, major new cycle. Definitely reflect back on 2006-7 and 2016-17 to see what was happening in your social life and in your personal life. This eclipse and the upcoming cycle with North Node in Pisces brings a lot of attention to your house of parenthood, romance, pleasure, and self-expression. And it suggests new beginnings around what you consider joyful, right? So parenthood is quite likely, especially if you're trying to get pregnant or if you're already pregnant. This is very much like birthing something, right? If you're not pregnant or planning to get pregnant or cannot get pregnant because you don't have a uterus, it could be about birthing something else, right? It could be about birthing a passion project. Fifth house is very interesting because for some people it's literal parenthood. For others it's about getting plastic surgery. For someone else it's about discovering a hobby that makes them feel supported and fulfilled. But it could also be about parenthood and romance. So pay attention to this eclipse because, like I said, it's going to introduce the topics that will unravel over the course of the next 2 years almost. And definitely reflect back on 2006, 2007 to see like what was happening around romance, pleasure, and children at that time. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, your year coming up, your relationship, and more. And you can also pick up a horoscope subscription on my website to see what is coming up for you every month. For the lovely Sagittarius rising, August could have brought a lot of attention to your career, made you rethink what you do for a living. We had Mercury retrograding from Virgo into Leo, from your 10th into the 9th. You may have realized that there are some documents you need to file, that there are some legal matters you need to address, that there is some education that you need to take in order to be the better version of yourself. Maybe even like finish some kind of education or deal with some kind of teachers, find mentors that can help you move your career forward. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in your 7th house of relationships and squared Saturn in Pisces, your 4th house. So chances are there could have been some kind of important development in your relationship sector that has then been checked by Saturn, right? Like an important development, some kind of realization, a desire to move in with your partner, a desire to get married, and then the square to Saturn could have put some kind of restriction involving your living situation, like you want to move in together, but both of you have like leases, I guess, plural, that you cannot break, or a family member needs your care and you can't take action in a relationship. Some type of tensions between like romance and living situation could have been highlighted, or family. And the full moon in Aquarius brought change to your communication, encouraged some honest conversations, encouraged change to schedule, relationships with siblings, neighbors, and maybe even transformations of your skills, some exams that you needed to take. In September, there's still a lot of professional action as the Sun and Mercury spend the month in Virgo. And we also get a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd, which represents new professional beginnings. You are starting a new job, you are starting a second job, you are exploring a different position, taking on a new project. Something is changing and developing, and you are also quite busy connecting with other people this month. The Libra sector, 11th house of your chart, is very active. Venus is here until September 22nd, and you are going to more parties, you are gathering with your friends, you're feeling supported and loved and appreciated, maybe getting more compliments from your friends, and feeling like the fish in the water when it comes to socializing and networking. Venus can also bring romance with a friend or a colleague, and maybe encourage a partnership, right? Like someone you have been friends with, you decide to start a podcast with, or start some kind of project together. On September 1st, Pluto returns to Capricorn, your 2nd house. will stay here until November 19th. This is the last bit of Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto has ingressed Capricorn and has entered Capricorn in 2008 and encouraged a lot of changes around your values, around your money and how you make money, what you spend on, your relationship to money, and also maybe a lot of change surrounding your self-worth. You may have undergone a couple of professional transformations. You may have learned to rely on yourself, empower yourself, and maybe undergone some deep transformative experiences. And please share down below if you kind of have a clear idea on what this Pluto cycle has been about. But Pluto returning to Capricorn for the final 2.5 months might be the time when you just put some finishing touches on it. You quit the job you've been at for a while, you start a business, you ask for a raise, you commit to some new path, right? Because Pluto is next going into Aquarius, your third house, which is all about speaking and business and kind of owning your skills, expressing yourself. So I think there's some more financial changes that need to happen before that. Mars enters Cancer, your 8th house, on September 4th and will stay in Cancer on and off for the next 8 months. It will go retrograde, and the retrograde will spin Leo on Cancer. But for now, until November 3rd, it is direct and it is in Cancer. But it's not the end of it, because then January 6th, April 18th is going to be in Cancer again. So Mars entering Cancer suggests that you are feeling driven to partner up with others. You're feeling driven to deal with some kind of fears and maybe pay off debts and handle financial matters. You may also notice that other people bring their problems to you and you're becoming their advocate, their fighter for them. Mars in Cancer is in its fall, however, so your energy levels might be a bit inconsistent. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and so just like the moon ebbs and flows, so does Mars in Cancer ebbs and flows energetically. So try to listen to those cycles and strike when the iron is hot, take action when you feel driven and full of energy, and try to rest when you don't. Watch out for conflicts around money, and watch out for a tendency to maybe not express frustration and suppress it, and there might be a danger of being passive aggressive and manipulative with this placement, because Cancer doesn't like fighting, but it kind of has to do it anyways because Mars always has to fight. So I highly recommend my Mars Cazimi candle for this transit. We're going to have Mars in Cancer, like I said, all the way until April 18th. And so Mars Cazimi is Mars in Scorpio conjunct the Sun. It's empowered. It's in a fixed sign. It's in the sign of rulership. Its energy is much more consistent. It's very courageous, very disciplined, very passionate. So it can help you deal not only with the frustrating energy of the transit, but in general, just find the stamina and determination needed to reach your fitness goals, professional goals, relationship goals, and whatever else you are trying to achieve. So yeah, beware of that, but it could really be a great time to focus on passion projects and follow your heart in terms of what you're trying to achieve. Just don't expect it to go fast, and Mars in Cancer, it tends to be pretty indirect. Uranus will retrograde in Taurus between September 1st and January 30th, 2025, and this might imply a certain revision in your health. You're looking at your habits, you are rethinking your diet, your exercise routine. There may be some work projects that need to be revisited and redone, and maybe some relationships with colleagues that also need attention. And on September 17th, we're getting the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 4th house. This is a big deal because it's an introduction of the new themes. We haven't had eclipses in Pisces since 2017, and the last time we had the North Node in Pisces, which is what's coming up in 2025, 2026, would have been in 2006, 2007. So take a look back at 2006, 2007. What was happening in your home, family, comfort and security sector? Because there are going to be big changes happening here. So But the changes, like I said, this is an intro. The bulk of the change will happen in 2025, 2026. But still, here we are completing the chapter started in March 2024 with a new moon in Pisces. And maybe you are finishing a home renovation project. Maybe you are changing dynamics in the family. I wonder too, right, with Jupiter, the ruler, being in the house of relationships, like romantic relationships. What needs to change around where you live? Maybe you need to move to be closer to your significant other. What needs to change in the family? Maybe if you're taking care of your mom, you need to hire help so that you can focus on the relationship and take care of your mom. What needs to change around your past, right? This could also be a chance to heal an old wound, to examine how your childhood affects your present relationship. So like a lot of opportunities for introspection and for opening, cleansing, rethinking, changing something so that you can bring forth new beginnings in 2025 and maybe find a better home for yourself. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. It's a great time to book. We can talk about the eclipse, see how it affects your chart, and see what might be coming up for you specifically. And you can pick up my horoscope subscription and get monthly readings sent to you at the start of every month. Everything on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the lovely Capricorn rising, in August, Venus was in Virgo, your 9th house, and Mercury retrograded from your 9th into the 8th houses, suggesting a sense of rethinking of your beliefs, maybe certain changes involving education, travel, legal matters, writing and publishing. You could have needed to rewrite some of the things, refile some documents, reapply for school, or deal with changing graduation dates, teachers asking you to add something to your thesis paper or something like that, some kind of surprising twists and turns. And maybe financial matters, right? Like especially if we're talking about education, needing to apply for scholarships, needing to manage finances and figure out how to best spend money or use the resources you have available. The Sun and Leo in the 8th also encourage financial action and financial revision. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in Gemini, your 6th house, and squared Saturn in Pisces in the 3rd. And you may have had to deal with some restrictions involving your schedule, your everyday life, your business, your sort of availability that have restricted your professional plans or your desire to kind of grow and expand your life. Because Mars and Jupiter together in the 6th house are symbolic of like getting ready to take on some kind of big project. That could be professional, it could be health related, it could be about serving and helping people in need. But that Saturn in the 3rd feels like it's either a logistical issue that you had to address, some kind of responsibility you have to a sibling or a family member, or like a scheduling issue, the fact that you're just too stretched and spread too thin already. And finally, the full moon in Aquarius in August 19th, brought attention once again to your house of money and values, encouraged you to pay off debts, have some conversations about resources, and maybe reallocate your finances. In September, your house of education, travel, writing, publishing, and legal matters is highlighted all month, as the Sun and Mercury spend most of the month until September 26th in Virgo. So I guess not all month, but until September 26th. And we get a new moon here on September 2nd. So very much new beginnings involving travel. Maybe you are relocating. New beginnings involving education, studying new thing, or working in education. If you are a teacher, maybe you're starting a new kind of class, teaching a new class, a new course of study. Maybe you are starting a legal career, or you're starting writing something, because it's the house of publishing too. Professional house is quite busy as well, as Venus stays in Libra until September 22nd, blessing you with opportunities to do work that is more joyful, helping you have harmonious easy relationships with your bosses, and just like sort of creating a sense of ease and harmony in relationships. And then the Sun is also here and Mercury are here all the way until October 22nd. So your professional life is active all throughout September and October. There's going to be a new moon solar eclipse here in October, so a lot of professional action coming up. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your first house, on September 1st, and it will stay here for the final time until November 19th. This is the final opportunity to empower yourself, to celebrate how far you've come since 2008 when Pluto first ingressed into Capricorn. And I know for a lot of you there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of death and rebirth, literal, death of family members, a lot of opportunities to stand on your own 2 feet and rediscover yourself and express yourself in ways that other people maybe felt were shocking, but for you they were authentically, truly yours. You may have gone through very deep changes to your look, to your style, even to your health. So Pluto returning to Capricorn for one final round is a chance to solidify that, I think, to maybe say that last thing that needs to be said before you drop the mic and walk away. And please share, how has Pluto been for you? Do you feel like it's been a very significant 16 years? I would be very curious to know. Uranus goes retrograde on September 1st as well in Taurus, your 5th house, and until January 30th, 2025. You are likely to be a bit more introspective about pleasure, about romance, about parenthood. When it comes to pleasure and inspiration, Uranus retrograding in Taurus could bring back old projects, maybe encourage you to connect with what excited you as a child and breathe another life into that. Romantically, because it's Uranus retrograding in the 5th, you may have to deal with some past flings, or even review some of your past relationships to get more clarity about what you're trying to accomplish or what your goals are romantically. And then the 5th house related to children, Uranus being retrograde there, might also imply that you're addressing some questions involving your kids. Mars will enter Cancer, your 7th house, for what is going to feel like forever. We're going to have 2 portions, Mars in Cancer, from September 4th until November 3rd. And then it will go into Leo, station retrograde on December 6th, and will return into Cancer on January 6th to stay until April 18th. So it's about 6 months of Mars in Cancer, and it's in your house of relationships, right? So Mars will encourage you to put yourself out there. It's likely to encourage you to form partnerships, sign contracts, find commitment, move towards commitment, and move relationships forward, move your business forward, go ahead with some kind of business idea you've been nurturing. The challenge of Mars in Cancer, it is considered to be in its fall, lies in the inconsistent energy levels. The energy might ebb and flow, and it's important to pay attention to that, to take action when you have a lot of energy and maybe take a break when you don't. It can also struggle with expressing anger in a direct way. It can be a little bit passive aggressive and may suppress the feelings until they burst in the open, and so try to be aware of that, and so you don't burn the people you love. I wouldn't recommend it. And if you're looking for help, pick up my Mars Kazemi or my Exalted Mars candle. It could be a perfect companion for you during this transit. Mars Kazemi is Mars in Scorpio, so still water sign, still trining this Mars in Cancer. But it's Mars in rulership, it is empowered by the conjunction with the Sun, and it has the fixity of purpose, right? I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's fixed, it's consistent, the energy is consistent, it's determined, it's like a ninja. It goes after the goal, doesn't give up, perseveres. So considering Mars will be retrograde and it will be in Cancer for such a long time, highly, highly recommend this as a choice to go for. And on September 17th, we get the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your third house. This is a big deal. This is an introduction of a whole brand new cycle. We've had eclipses in Aries and Libra for the last year and a half. Now next year, and this is the first one, we're gonna shift into North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. And the last time we had this exact North-South Node would have been in 2006, 2007. And they were flipped. South Node was in Pisces, so we were still getting eclipses in Pisces and Virgo in 2016, 17. So definitely do some reflection, because some of the themes from that period might be coming back around. And here we're looking at your third house of communication, skills, siblings, neighbors, business. And since it's a lunar eclipse, it represents a completion, an ending of some sorts. The chapter that maybe got started in March 2024 with a new moon in Pisces is coming full circle. And so I can see this as finishing a class, completing a writing project, letting go of some kind of engagement you had to your sibling or your neighbor in order to have more space, because all you're doing right now is you're like letting something go, you're completing something, so that when we get the solar eclipse in Pisces next year, you can start again. So you're clearing area, you're clearing your thoughts, you're clearing your space, you're clearing your journals, so that you can pursue something that is exciting and start teaching, writing, speaking, blogging, business manning or womaning and stuff like that. I hope it resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, your year to come, your relationship, and more. For the beautiful Aquarius risings, in August, Venus was in Virgo, your 8th house, and so was Mercury. Mercury retrograded from Virgo into Leo, from your 8th house into your 7th house. So you could have dealt with some financial questions, right? Maybe negotiated your pay or talked to your partner about starting a joint bank account. There could have been a lot of action in relationships with Mercury retrograding into the 7th and Sun being in the 7th. You may have moved in with your significant other. You may have started a new relationship. And so I think with that retrograde from the 8th into the 7th, just having to talk about things that are important, that are maybe neglected at times, but are still quite sort of significant, you know, like what your schedules are like, what your financial habits are going to be like, what your plans for the future are like, and just kind of get on the same page. Some of you may have dealt with exes with the retrograde in the 7th house, and please share if you had. Mars and Jupiter also conjoined in Gemini, your 5th house, potentially implying new beginnings involving romance, pleasure, and children. Sorry, there's a weird piece of hair that needs to go, but doesn't want to go. Okay, it's gone. But Mars and Jupiter in the 5th could have sped up your romantic sector. Things were like fast and urgent, and you know, you may have like developments in love or parenthood or like creative projects could have been really, really fast until they were not. Until both Mars and Jupiter squared Saturn in the 2nd, and you had some kind of restrictions, roadblocks, delays in the shape of finances or values. Like, you know, you moved in with a significant other and then you realize that you don't want kids and they want kids, or that you've been like sort of ready to get married and you realize that you still have to deal with the debts you have, or like you may have sort of had to contend with some kind of financial restrictions potentially. And then the full moon in Aquarius on August 19th brought change to your health, body, and identity as you potentially tackled some important questions around who you are, what you want, and what you're trying to like accomplish in life. In September, there's still a lot of focus on your house of resources, but now Mercury is moving direct. The Sun is here, Mercury is direct here until September 26th. So maybe what has felt a little bit confusing is now feeling a lot more clear. You're paying off debts. You are negotiating, you're starting new partnerships, you are signing contracts, and everything sort of seems to flow, right? Everything seems to be more clear. There's also a new moon here on September 2nd, which represents new beginnings. And still sort of similar themes, starting a bank account with your significant other, getting, like, 8th house also has to do with like mysteries and spiritual topics and healing. So you may also be committing to like overcoming some fears and healing. I think the new moon here is like very much about clearing debts, and those could be financial debts, those could be spiritual debts, or inner debts. I guess let's say financial or spiritual, sort of like more about clearing like karma, clearing past issues, and letting go of some fears. The focus on Libra, your 9th house, is quite strong. Venus is here until September 22nd, and the Sun is here, and so does Mercury after September 22nd. And this encourages you to travel, to maybe get away with your significant other. It's a great time to book a trip, to even honestly like take a class together or learn something new, especially with Venus until September 22nd. I think you would enjoy doing it together with the person you love. You would enjoy going away together and like kind of taking classes about sex and pleasure, and even like learning to cook. It might also inspire you to write and maybe design something. If you're a teacher, you're maybe designing a course for your students, or you're maybe learning something. It could also bring blessings in like legal sector when it comes to your when it comes to any like documents, visas, anything like that, like things sort of moving ahead faster. Pluto returns to Capricorn for one last time on September 1st, and until November 19th, you will get to put some finishing touches on your mental health. Maybe commit to some other good habit that helps you take better care of yourself. There may be some spiritual work you still need to do, some healing, right, that still needs to happen, and maybe some kind of like commitment to being a healer, or commitment to a creative, imaginative project that needs to happen. But it feels like very introspective. And you know, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. How has your life changed? Have you kicked bad habits? Have you dealt with things being out of your control? Have you learned to be more stable and self-reliant? Have you maybe traveled and moved and relocated somewhere? So whatever you still have to do in those areas will be done. And yeah, please share if you sort of immediately can pinpoint it and be like, yeah, that's what this cycle has been about for me. Uranus also begins its retrograde in Taurus on September 1st and will be retrograde until January 30th, 2025. There may be some reversals in your home, family, and living situation. Let's say you're doing like a home renovation project and you painted the wall red. And so Uranus retrogrades and you're like, yeah, that's not really who I am. I'm going to change it back. There may be some issues involving home and family that are coming back around that you need to address, some sort of wounds, even like conflicts you've been in with a family member that you're maybe now examining. Uranus retrograde can be, you know, when Uranus is direct in your 4th house, you're like very sort of direct in terms of making change and moving or renovating, moving in together with someone. When it's retrograde, it becomes a little bit more internalized. The change is a bit more about personal transformations, less about changing your environment. So it could also be a big period of like asking big questions. Mars enters Cancer, your 6th house, and will stay here from September 4th until November 3rd, and then again from January 6th until April 18th. It's a long period of Mars in Cancer, 6 months total, on and off. Basically, if you consider the entire period, by the time it enters and completely exits, it's 8 months. But here Mars goes into your, and it's going to take so long because it's going to be retrograde for part of the time. But it takes, so you know, it goes into your 6th house, which is the place of work, it's the place of health, it's the place of diet, exercise, any kind of routines in your life, problem solving, pets. And so Mars is in its joy in the 6th house. So it will encourage you to take action, to exercise, to handle any matters involving pets and animals in your life, to do work, to eat better, to make doctor's appointments that need to be made. Mars is, however, in its fall in Cancer. And that's why I've been very kind of adamant about recommending my Mars Kazemi candle, because this is Mars in Scorpio, the sign of rulership, and it's empowered, it's fixed in energy, it's good at dealing with conflict, and it could be a great help for the next 8 months, basically, of Mars in its fall Mars retrograde cycle. So the fact that Mars is in its fall might be, you might see that, yes, you want to problem solve and you have the desire to improve your health, diet, exercise routines, but your energy is not consistent. It's up, it's down, and you are encouraged to listen to those cycles and sort of go with the flow, right? Rest when you need to rest, strike when the iron is hot, take action. It can also be a bit more passive aggressive, so watch out for the tendency to suppress frustration and let it build until it explodes. And if you are mindful, hopefully you can navigate it. And if you get my Mars Kazemi candle, you'll be even better. On September 17th, we get the first eclipse in Pisces. It's a lunar eclipse, and it's a beginning of a new cycle. We're going to start having Pisces and Virgo eclipses in 2025, 2026. And here we are kind of getting the preview of what the next year and a half will be about, almost 2 years. It's in your 2nd house, so it's about money, it's about values, it's about some kind of change that needs to happen so that you open yourself up to new beginnings, right? It's a very interesting one. I'm personally quite excited about this one. On one level, it's an introduction to a new chapter. On the other level, it's a completion of the cycle that started in March with a new moon in Pisces. But I feel like if we merge these two together, I think you are completing something. You're paying off a debt, you're getting a payout you've been waiting for, you are rethinking what's important to you so that you can close and complete the old and welcome the new. And come 2025, maybe it will be the time when you start a new job, start a business, make more money, and sort of, transform the way you live your life. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I do relationship, natal, predictive readings. It is a great time to get one with the eclipse season starting, to get some guidance. And you can also pick up a horoscope subscription if you'd like to get written horoscopes at the start of every month. Last but not least, the beautiful ethereal Pisces rising. In August, there was a lot of focus on your relationships and your health. Virgo sector was activated, Venus was in Virgo most of the month, and Mercury went retrograde from Virgo into Leo. So you spend a lot of time with your significant other. You maybe had to have some important conversations about the future, about family, parenthood, home. You may have dealt with some kind of challenges in relationships, right? Maybe some health issues that either you or your partner, and by partner it could also be your parent, if you have a very sort of strong partnership relationship with your parent, or someone else may have dealt with a health issue. And so questions around health and relationships maybe needed to be addressed. Even your own health could have been brought to your attention, and with Mercury retrograding back into the 6th, maybe you needed to make some doctor's appointments and review some health issues that you haven't fully addressed. Mars and Jupiter conjoined in your 4th house and then squared Saturn in the 1st, and some type of excitement or positive developments, action involving home, family, living situation, like maybe new beginnings, like starting a family, or new beginnings involving moving in with your significant other, felt blocked or delayed or restricted by some responsibilities, restrictions, frustrations, and they squared Saturn in the 1st. So I think there was potentially an issue involving your own fears and your own maybe self-destructive tendencies and your own health or your own busyness and you basically realize that you first have to deal with your personal issues and then take action. And then the full moon in Aquarius 12th, I think, similarly brought attention to your mental health, spirituality, and encouraged you to implement some positive changes there, so that when things are out of control and when the world doesn't go according to plan and when Saturn keeps beating up on you, you can still have a sense of peace internally. So please share, how has this month been? I know it's been a mess for pretty much almost everyone I've been talking to, myself included, but also quite productive. But I'm a Virgo, so you know, if I'm not productive, am I even existing? It's sad, but it's true. So in September, you're still very relationship focused. Be that romantic relationships, be that other sort of significant one-on-one partnerships. The Sun and Mercury are both in Virgo. Mercury is fresh from the retrograde, full of insights. You are applying the lessons you have learned to your relationships, right? If you have learned how to take care of your partner's health, maybe you are helping them figure out your structure, their like everyday life. If you have taken care of your health, maybe your relationship is better, or some type of forward momentum in relationships. There's a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd, which represents new beginnings in your romantic and partnership sector. So those who are dating may start a new relationship. If you're single, you may start dating. If you are in a relationship, you may get engaged or move in with your significant other or experience some other kind of like change. It's also the house of contracts and agreements. So I can also see this as like a professional partnership or a contract that's coming into your life, some type of one-on-one dynamic that is blossoming with this new moon. We have Venus in beautiful Libra in the sign of rulership until September 22nd, highlighting your 8th house of debts, loans, taxes, inheritance, partner's money. And you may experience blessings in all of those areas. It's a great time to make an investment if you're looking to do that. You might be getting a bonus, a return on investment. Your partner might be benefiting, like they get some kind of bonus or they get some kind of inheritance and you benefit through that. It can also be like a really good time to start a partnership, to join resources with other people. So September is all about relationships. Uranus goes retrograde in Taurus on September 1st, will be retrograde until January 30th. And this is the time when you are becoming a little bit more introspective and maybe wondering what you want to be known for. Third house is the place of communication, writing, schedule, siblings, neighbors, business, blogging, and all of that kind of stuff. So when Uranus is direct, you are actively pursuing those things. You are setting yourself apart with your knowledge, you are writing, you are speaking, you are maybe pursuing a lot of different goals and maybe having a very busy schedule. When Uranus is retrograding, you are having to rethink and maybe narrow things down, right? Reflect on what is it that you spend your energy on. Is all of it necessary? What thoughts are you thinking? You're becoming a lot more introspective, a lot more interested in revolutionizing your mind versus your everyday life. So it could be quite insightful and powerful period. Pluto returns to Capricorn, your 11th house, for one final hooray between September 1st and November 19th. Pluto has been on and off in Capricorn since 2008, bringing change to your house of partnerships, your house of friendships, your house of networks, your house of social life. Maybe you've noticed that your friendships have changed. Maybe you've dealt with some shadows in your friendships. Maybe you've transformed your everyday life. Maybe you've transformed your dreams. And please share, how has that been? How have things changed since 2008? Have you made some important realizations and found your power potentially? So this period from September 1st until November 19th is the final chance to have that conversation with a friend if you feel like things are uncomfortable. Bring things out into the open, discuss it, be honest. Take control of things on some level, right? Things that you can control, not things that you cannot control. Don't grab onto and try to manipulate other people to be a certain way, but maybe celebrate, you know, the friends that you have and friends that have stuck with you, and let go of those that are not. And the same goes for dreams, right? Like if there is a dream that you've been putting on back burner, this Pluto in the 11th might encourage you to take control of that dream, and especially dreams that involve the community, dreams that involve goals that are larger than just yourself, that involve helping others, might be brought up to your attention once again. Looking forward to hearing what this Pluto has been about for you. Mars enters Cancer, your 5th house, on September 4th, and will stay in Cancer for like 8 months. It's gonna go into Leo for a little bit from November 3rd until January 6th, and then it will also retrograde from Leo back into Cancer. So it's a very long Mars in Cancer period. And so this is interesting, right? It's the 5th house, and Mars wants to take action. In the 5th house matters. Mars wants to have fun, take on some kind of pleasurable activities, go out, dance, create, make love. It's a very sexy placement. It wants to maybe do some athletic activities. However, it's Mars in its fall. So with it comes the energy ups and downs. With it come maybe a tendency to be a bit more accident prone. So first advice, listen to your energy levels. If they're high, go for it, take action. If they're low, maybe try to take it easy. Watch out for being passive aggressive, right? It could be the time when you are frustrated by something, but you're not expressing it. Mars in Cancer doesn't like to be a fighter. It wants to kind of, Cancer is the place of, you know, soft and vulnerable and mushy sides of us. But Mars is a fighter, so it still needs to express the energy. So watch out for the tendency to suppress frustration, let it build and let it burst. Instead, try to once again express it through like sex and exercise, and maybe go swimming. Swimming is great here. Could also be the time when you are maybe like making babies or creative babies, but Mars in Cancer could be like a period in which you're like very determined to like get pregnant. Because it's in its fall, I wonder if there are like some delays and some challenges on the way. My other advice would be pick up my Exalted Mars or Mars Cazimi candle. Mars Cazimi has Mars in Scorpio, the sign of rulership, conjunct the sun, empowered. It is fixed. The energy levels are fixed. It knows how to deal with conflict, when to fight, when to let it go. It is passionate, brave, disciplined. So this is the candle for the next 8 months, because Mars is going to go through a lot in the next while, a long time. Finally, a really, really big deal happens, and I'm excited about, on September 17th, when we get the lunar eclipse in Pisces, your 1st house. And it happens at 25 degrees. So if your ascendant is at like 25 or even 22 to 28, this is like extra important for you. And we are introducing the themes that will bloom and fully unravel in 2025, 2028, when the nodes shift in Pisces and Virgo. The nodes are still in Aries and Libra, but the eclipse is close enough to the North Node and South Node for it to be considered an eclipse. And the last time we had an eclipse in Pisces was in 2017, but the North Node was in Pisces last in 2006, 2007. So take a look back, especially 2007, maybe early 2008. What was happening in your life? How has your identity changed? Have you had a chance to step up? Have you had a chance to rediscover yourself? Because this is similar. You are completing a big chapter of your life. You are letting go of who you were in order to become bigger, better, stronger. Because next year we're going to have a solar eclipse in Pisces. And actually, are we? I think there might be a solar eclipse in... Yeah, I think so. There's a solar eclipse in Aries. There might be a lunar eclipse in Virgo. But we're gonna have more eclipses in Pisces, is what I'm trying to say. And there's gonna be, you know, North Node in Pisces, so more focus. Yeah, there's in March there's a lunar eclipse in Virgo and a solar eclipse in Aries. Just had to check it. But you know, it's still my point is still the same. You are still in this period of rebirth, and the lunar eclipse in your first house suggests a need to take care of your health, to close any personal projects, to let go of some self-defeating tendencies, to maybe complete some personal projects that have run their course, so that next year and a year after you can step up and become the true version of yourself. And part of me wonders if, you know, if the change that you're taking on and this like leadership role you're taking on involves family, involves parenthood, because of the ruler Jupiter being in the 4th house and Mars being in the 5th. So maybe it's about, you know, becoming a parent or becoming a leader, becoming sort of the star of your family, the person who like takes on a lot and shows up for others. Please share how this resonates. If you're looking for more, you want to know more about the eclipse season, it's a great time to book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I also do natal chart readings, which are more general, or relationship readings. And you can pick up a subscription to receive monthly horoscopes sent to you at the start of every month and weekly breakdowns at the start of every week. Thank you for watching. I feel like a marathon runner, filming for like 3 hours and being done. Yay! Hopefully everything worked out. Mercury retrograde. But if you're watching it, it did work out. So thank you, God. Thank you, Mercury. I hope you have a beautiful September and enjoy this lovely Venus and Libra energy. And I hope you avoid any downfalls that might be coming. Talk to you very soon. Bye.